Do you have an empty spot on your wall that you just need, it just feels like it needs something? Let's fix that. Hi, I'm Angie with Cutting Edge Quilter, and today we are going to make a wall hanging. It's kind of, what I want to do is, you see this window back here behind me. It feels like it just needs something. So what I have decided to do was just to make a few quilt blocks and bind just the block and put those, just hang them periodically, just different ones on this window. It has a little latch up top where they used to open and shut the window, and so that's where I'm going to hang them. So join me as we make one. Okay, so here's the background fabric all cut up into 4x4 squares. So I just want to get a lighter material. This one, like I said, these are I believe from Lori Holt's, the collection that I had called My Happy Place, and so they weren't the exact materials that she used, or fabric that she used for the Prairie Meadows quilt, but that's okay. I'm just going to kind of use what I have because I have so many scraps, and just make different blocks so I can put on my window. What I'm doing now is I have my fabric that I'm going to use, and I use these templates from the Lori Holt templates that she provided, or that came separately. I had to purchase them separately, but they're called So Simple Shapes, and this one's a Prairie Meadow. So what I did was I went ahead and just traced around this template with a pen on the back side of the fabric, and I'm going to cut all of these out. I'm going to do the same thing with some interfacing and cut all of it out, and then I'll show you how I sew this together. Okay, so what I did was I used this little template that I had cut out using this. So I cut out my fabric, and what I used was this interfacing that I had. You can use some that you can iron on, but this one isn't, so I just used what I had. So either way is fine. And what I did was I just sewed around the interfacing and the fabric, just sewed around there, and then I cut out what I sewed because they were like in a square before I put them on the template, and I just cut out that part of it. And I did that with all of my designs, all my templates. Then what I did was I made little notches in these little areas. Sorry if I can get this to focus, and that way I can turn them easier, and it will actually look like it would be sharp when I turn them. So if you see the other side, what I did was I kind of pinched up the top and cut a little slit with my scissors here, and then I just cut along. I did here and here and here, and just little one here. So what I'm going to do is just go ahead and turn this. And when I did that, I did right sides together. So this is the wrong side, this is the wrong side. And with this fabric, there's not really a wrong side, so I just used what I had. But if you have a fabric that had a right and wrong side, then it would be right sides together, so that way when you turn them like this, then the outside would be the right side. Okay. And what I like to do is I like to just turn it with my hand first. Get as much turned as I can. Then I use my little clover tool. So this is this tool. Okay. This one, don't poke too hard though, because you don't want to poke a hole in your pointed edge. Just lightly, and I go over anywhere that I feel like I need to straighten out. Kind of look on this side to see what you got. And then after I get them all done, what I like to do is use a seam roller here. And because these tend to come up, I just use my seam roller and kind of roll this out and make it nice and flat. So here is the actual, it's not the finished block because I don't have the back on it or anything. But basically what I did to achieve this is, you saw me cut out the shapes and I put some interfacing behind it. It wasn't the iron-on interfacing because I didn't have any of that, but it's okay. You could use whatever you want to use. I kind of like it that's not iron-on because it kind of gives a dimension to the little shapes. But mine's a little bit, I'll link Lori Holt's video in the description too. Mine's shorter and it's a smaller block, so it's kind of all squished together more than hers, but that's okay. I wanted it to be a little bit smaller for what I'm going to use it for. So basically what I did was I just put all my shapes on the background pieces, laid them all out exactly the way I wanted them to be laid out, and I put a little dot of this Elmer's glue underneath them because I started working on it and it got late, so I put some Elmer's glue underneath and kind of laid them out, and not a whole lot, just barely a little line. And I waited a whole, the next morning I came back and ironed all of that down to where they would, whenever I'm sewing everything on, then it wouldn't all come up. So that's how I got them to stay where I wanted them to. So the next day after I ironed everything down, I went ahead and I used a small zigzag stitch, and I have a baby lock, so I'll show you a picture of what I use for my zigzag stitch, the length and the stitch length and what I used. So and I just switched out my thread is what I did. So here is a close-up of, I just went around each piece and I used the zigzag stitch just tiny bit. They were just a tiny little zigzag stitch. This one I used the blue so you can't even see it. Yellow, you can kind of see my yellow, but that's okay. I used a dark green on these, a pink. I didn't have a pink and I didn't want to go to the store buy pink, so I just used like a cream color for my pink and also a cream color for this. It's not perfect. It's not perfectly circle, not a perfect circle. It's not, I didn't go around it perfect. That's okay. This is just for me and for my wall. And after I get done with everything, I will show you where I'm going to hang this. I'm going to make quite a few of these because I want to change them out. So what I'm going to do now that everything is all stitched down, I'm going to get my batting and I'll make it a little bit larger than these pieces here, than this background piece. And then I'll get my background, get a background. I'm not sure what I'm going to use yet. I'll look at that. And then what I'm going to do is do a binding all around just like a regular quilt. Except for this one, I'm going to also add a loop at the top so that way I can hang it. So I'll show you when I get to that step how I make my loop in order to hang it where I want it to be hung. Okay, I went ahead and quilted the little quilt block. I just used this for the back. This is just that I bought pretty cheap. I bought a bolt of fabric pretty cheap, and nobody's gonna see the back in my office space, so I just used that. But I just did a quick little meander just around just to kind of make the flowers and petals and thing pop. But yeah, it was just pretty quick little quilting. And now I'm going to go ahead and cut off my edges here and make my binding and also make my loop for the top. Okay, so I've got my border done, and I just picked this blue, same color as my little flower here in the middle. And now what I need to do is add my loop. I kind of measured it, hung it up where I was going to hang it, just to make sure that I had it, you know, the right length. So I'm just going to pick, it's all the same edges, so it's really not directional. So I'm just going to pick one, and what I'm going to do is sew it to the back, on the back of my binding, so you really can't see the blue that I'm going to sew it with. And I'll just make 2 or 3 passes. Okay, so it's fast little sew. I just sewed this to the back. Can't even really tell from the front that it's sewn on there. And it is done. Okay, now that that's done, it wasn't very long at all, just to make 1 quilt block. And I love using Lori Holt's patterns that she has, so I think I want to make a few of those, maybe a few just regular piece blocks. We'll see how it goes on that, but this is how it turned out. I just love it. I think it's going to look so good up here. The dimensions for this finished is about 14.5 by 14.5. It's smaller than what Lori Holt made, but I wanted it smaller for this window because if it was too big, it would just take up the whole window. And I made this little hanger. What I did was I just sewed it to the binding in back, so that way I can hang this, and then I will put that up there. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see more of these as I make them, and we'll just change them out, like I said, every once in a while, just to have something different. So thanks so much for watching this week, and tune in next week where I may make another block. I'm not for sure exactly. If there's something else that you would like to see made, let me know in the comments below. Well, definitely, I love suggestions, and I love trying something new. Thanks for watching. Happy quilting.